Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. I'm here to do a reading task. But before that, let me introduce myself. My name is Dwita ANP and I'm from Class B of Legal English class. And my NPM is 22 10096. Criminal case of the murder of Alek Komaludin in Cilawu, Garut, Indonesia 2024. Verdict number 258, Bitbet 2024, PN Garut. The background of this case is the murder of Alek Komaludin shocked the people of Garut, Indonesia because of its extremely brutal nature and involved two young defendants, Tata Ramdan and Hilman Hakim. This horrific incident occurred in May 2024, driven by personal revenge involving the victim's family. This case received attention because of the execution full of sadism and inhumanity carried out by the perpetrators against the victim, which took place at the victim's house in the Cilawu area, Garut, which is not too far from the city center. And the next one is the victim. The victim is Alek Komaludin, who was a 71-year-old man, was found dead in his house with severe injuries caused of a sharp weapon. He was a retired local resident who was known to manage a public toilet in Ngamplang, Cilawu. And so for the initial investigation, the first one is incident. On May 5, 2024, Alek was found dead in his bedroom with multiple wounds, especially to the head, face, neck, stomach, and thighs. His body was found by his family, who immediately notified local authorities. And for the second one is crime scene. Investigators found signs of forced entry by the perpetrators into the victim's house and electrical damage in the house. The house was dark due to a disconnected electricity meter manipulated by the perpetrators to lure their initial target out of the house. And the last one of the initial investigation is toxicology and forensic reports. Alek's death was confirmed to have been caused by a sharp object injuries, particularly to the head, face, and abdomen. The forensic report details several open wounds, internal injuries, and internal bleeding, which match the description of the perpetrator's attack using a machete and sickle. The following details are explained in the visum ad repertum from RSUD Dr. Selamat Garut, number 44 5.5, 1226.1 RSU VE 2024, date 6 June 2024, signed by Dr. Fahmi Arif Hakim, which basically concluded the results of the examination as follows. On this male corpse, approximately 71 years old, there were open wounds with flat edges on the chin, forearms, thighs, and face that cut the forehead bone, cheekbones, upper jaw bone, nose bone, elbow bone that penetrated the head cavity and cut brain organs, brain braces, hard membranes of the brain and soft membranes of the brain, and stab wounds in the chest, abdomen that penetrated the lower large intestinal area veins due to sharp violence. And for the next one is main evidence. First, CCTV footage was found and recorded by the surrounding community shows Hilman walking towards the house, carrying a machete and sickle several hours before the incident. The clothes he was wearing matched the description given by the witnesses and the evidence found. And the second one is murder weapons. A machete and a sickle were found by investigators. The two weapons were confirmed to belong to the defendant in the form of one machete blade approximately 60 centimeters long with a wooden handle wrapped around a white rope along with a scabbard wrapped in red cloth, and one sickle blade approximately 50 centimeters long with a wooden handle along with a brown leather scabbard. And the third one is witness statements. Testimony from neighbors and family members about Tatan and Hilman's action strengthens the chronology of the defendant movements because they had or experienced previous conflicts with the victim's son named Oki. And for the fourth is other evidence listed in the verdict is the one piece of navy colored t-shirt that reads Yogyakarta, one blue Tosca polka dot white pillow, one white colored strawberry pillow, 1 piece of woven sarung with green-colored crossed list motif, 1 piece of black jacket with blue and white pattern that supplico, 1 piece of black sweater of Telusi brand with Renaissance written on it, 1 piece of cream-colored shorts of Folco brand, and 1 black and brown bogo helmet with the words on the side Harley Davidson Cycles motorcycle. 1 unit of 2-wheeled vehicle, brand Honda Vario red color, police number C5750GP, frame number MH1GFY11 2GK057141, engine number GFY1E1052239. And 1 red colored KYT helmet with a sticker on the back left side that reads Cilawu branch XTC Garut Regency, and 1 unit of 2-wheeled vehicle brand Honda Beat Deluxe, blue black color, police number Z4320DBE, frame number MH1GM812XNK256966, engine number GM81E2258589. And for the defendant, first one is Tatan Ramdan. The background is a man who is not too old, 34 years old, who worked as a self-employed person. He is the main perpetrator and mastermind behind the attacks on both Oki, which was intended, and Alec. The relationship with the victim, where the perpetrator is a former acquaintance who has had a long-standing closeness regarding personal problems with both Oki and Alec themselves, even though they were not the initial targets. And the motive for the action was triggered by an unresolved conflict with the victim's son, Oki, who had previously clashed with Tatan over the restoration of the territory and the alleged assault. And for the second one is Hilman Hakim. The background is a 19 years old young man who is casual laborer, and his life is helped by Tatan and his family. Hilman becomes an accomplice acting under Tatan's influence, and motive for his action is because Tatan has helped Hilman's life a lot. Tatan is considered to have done a great service to Hilman and made Hilman help Tatan willingly. And for the trial, the first one is indictment. Both Tatan and Hilman were charged with premeditated murder under Pasal 340 of the KUHP. The prosecutor also filed an additional charge of murder under Pasal 338. And for the defense, mitigating witnesses from the fraudster argued that the defendant only intended to intimidate Okino to kill Alec. They claimed that the attack escalated unintentionally because they were drunk and asked for leniency for the perpetrators. And for the prosecution presented sufficient evidence, including CCTV footage, forensic analysis, defendant's statements, and witnesses' testimonies to establish the intent and action of the defendant. And for the verdict and sentencing, the verdict is the court acquitted the defendant of premeditated murder under Pasal 340 KUHP but found them guilty of murder under Pasal 338 KUHP. The sentence is both defendant were sentenced to 14 years and 6 months in prison. An appeal and legal debate is the parties appealed the verdict, claiming that their actions were misinterpreted. However, the appeal was dismissed, with the court upholding the original sentences. As for the Pasal 340 of the Criminal Code states any person who with deliberate intent and with premeditation takes the life of another person shall, being guilty of murder or with premeditation, be punished by capital sentence or life imprisonment or a maximum imprisonment of 20 years. Pasal 340 of the KUHP, the elements of which are as follows: whoever and with deliberate intent and with premeditation takes the life of another person, and those who commit, those who cause to commit, and those who participate in the act. And for the second one is Pasal 338. Pasal 338 of the Criminal Code or of the KUHP on the murder reads as follows: and a person who with deliberate intent takes the life of another person shall, being guilty of murder, be punished by a maximum imprisonment of 15 years. Pasal 338 of the KUHP has the following elements, which is whoever, and then intentionally taking the life of another person, and then the element of those who commit, those who order to commit, and those who participate in the act. So for the public reaction, the case sparked discussion about the heightened influence of personal fantasies of brutal violence and the need for community meditation to resolve conflicts without resorting to violence. The case also highlighted the importance of CCTV as evidence in criminal investigation. And for the key issues and legal points, first one is the role of forensic evidence. Forensic findings play an important role in reconstructing the crime and confirming the nature of the fatal injuries suffered by the victims by the perpetrators. The presence of many open wounds, such as crushed body parts, is one of the strong evidences of how brutal the incident was. Second one is the impact of motives in the legal process. Motive is an important factor in distinguishing between premeditated murder and murder without detailed planning, so that the verdict issued can be imposed as fairly as possible. In this case, the motive of the perpetrators was certainly based on high revenge, especially Tatan. As a result, he became blinded by anger and killed Alec, who was not his initial target. One is public awareness and conflict resolution. This case emphasized the need for better conflict management in society to prevent such tragedies. This is necessary so that there are no more problems resolved using violence that can lead to similar incidents like these horrific incidents. And for the fourth one is legal framework for accomplices. The involvement of Hillman, a younger and perhaps impressive accomplice, raises questions about proportional sentence for accomplice in a crime. Hillman, who was based on his debt of gratitude to Tatan, made him feel like he had to help Tatan in everything, even though it included taking someone else's life. And also, his dedication in ensuring that Oki was in the house made this event even more complicated. And the conclusion is the murder of Alec Komaludin is a tragic example of how personal conflict and revenge can bring something that was previously not that severe into irreversible in violence, such as this case of loss of life. This case underscores the importance of forensic science, reliable evidence such as CCTV footage, and a thorough judicial process in providing justice. In addition, this case serves as a reminder of the role of community intervention in claiming disputes before they result in harm. Moreover, the role of psychology should be greatly needed in this case because it is related to human nature and character in controlling their own emotions, and also the pressure as a helper in the context of reciprocation or towards someone. Last one is discussion points. I'll be answering with the personal opinion of mine. The first one is CCTV as a primary evidence. Can only CCTV alone prove intent or prior planning in a case like this? The answer is CCTV can be used as primary evidence in a case, especially if the footage clearly shows the perpetrator's action and supports the elements of the alleged crime. However, CCTV must usually be supported by other evidence such as witnesses' confessions of the perpetrator or other evidence to strengthen the proof. To prove intent or prior planning, CCTV footage must show action that clearly indicate an element of planning or deliberation. Without that, it is difficult to make it the only evidence to prove intent or plan. And for the point 2 is pasal imposed. Are the pasal imposed appropriate rather than another pasal that are not legally proven? The answer is, in my opinion, the pasals that have been legally imposed on the defendants are pasals that adequately reflect justice and appropriateness. Based on the testimony of the defendants and as stated in the PIP, they did not intentionally intend to kill Oleg, but their initial plan was to intimidate or even to kill Oki. What happened to Oleg as a result of the defendant's action is in accordance with what is mentioned in Pasal 338 of the KUHP on deliberately taking the life of another person, while Pasal 340, which was previously charged but cancelled because it was not proven, is correct with the existing legal fact. This is because Pasal 340 could have been proven valid if they managed to make Oki the victim and not Oleg. The court has been very compliant with the principles and procedures. If only I were of the opinion, it might be possible to apply Pasal 340 to the defendants, but for 20 years imprisonment, not the death penalty. And for the discussion points number 3, psychological effect on accomplices, how should the guard justice system during the trial of such cases handle individuals who commit crimes under the influence of others? The answer is, in the justice system, individuals who commit crimes under the influence of others, for example due to pressure, manipulation, or threats, should have these factors considered in determining sentencing. In Indonesia, this can be used as one of the reasons for mitigating sentence if it is proven that the offender was a victim of influence or coercion. The court must also evaluate the extent to which such influence affected the offender's consequences and free will. If such influence is dominant, the offender may be considered an intellectual actor and may have received a lighter sentence. In this case, the public prosecutor or lawyer should have brought up in a professional expert in the field of mental health to accompany the defendants during the trial process and provide expert testimony for the analysis of the behavior of the defendants in this case, especially Hillman. And for the last discussion points is motive in criminal cases. How important is understanding motive and distinguishing between premeditated and unpremeditated acts? The answer is, understanding motives is essential to distinguish between planned and spontaneous action. Motive helps to uncover the reasons behind the perpetrator's action, which plays a role in determining whether the act was done intentionally or dolus or unintentionally or culpa. In criminal cases, proving motive can affect the category of the crime, the degree of guilt, and the severity of sentence. For example, a murder committed with premeditation will be charged more severely than a spontaneous killing due to momentary emotion. And that's all from me. See ya!